1270 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 23 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you've been in this area for a long period of time, you probably are familiar with the name Marjorie Harris Carr. And if you don't know the importance of her contribution to us, I'll tell you real quickly. And I'm also doing this for the sake of our guest who's listening in on the phone. Marjorie Harris Carr was, among other things, greatly responsible for the demise of the Cross Florida Barge Canal. And why that is a wonderful thing is because had they built that canal, it probably would have torn up the, the rock formations that keep the Florida aquifer where it should be, which would mean that our beautiful rivers wouldn't be what they are. In fact, some of the things that made this a tourist attraction in the first place before there was something called Disney World, we wouldn't have it. And so she is very much celebrated. The land that was set aside for that canal is now a trail that runs across the state, and it's quite awesome. And the reason I bring up her name in order to introduce our next guest is because when Marjorie Harris Carr was this one lone voice trying to get other people to jump on board, she was being called a radical. She was being called an extremist, an extreme environmentalist, a tree hugger. I mean, everything you can think of to call her. But the truth is, she was right. I've often thought that as we began to develop from being really not that different from the animals into whatever we are today, that was probably supposed to happen, by design. But there was no instruction book, so we didn't know how to do it without messing up being good stewards of this planet that seems big, but it's really not that big. Diane Ackerman has written a very insightful book. It is called The Human Age. I can't wait for you to hear more about it, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. She's on the phone right now. She, in addition to writing this awesome book, was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. She's an award-winning best-selling author, poet, essayist, naturalist, beautiful lady. I looked at her picture, beautiful hair. She hosts a PBS series called Mystery of the Senses, and my
favorite part.
Has the rare distinction of having a molecule named after her.
Yeah, that is my favorite part.
Really? All right. Well, The Human Age is the name of the book. The World Shaped by Us. Diane Ackerman, you are an amazing lady. Thank you. It's an honor to have you on the show. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. What a treat to be with you. In all fairness, the molecule is a sex pheromone in crocodiles.
Oh. Really? Oh, gosh. There's got to be a story there.
Yeah, there is a story there. That's for another time.
Sex pheromone in crocodiles.
Because I've worked with endangered animals a lot, and some of the ones I've worked with have been alligators and crocodiles.
Are you here in Florida? Where are you?
No, I am in Ithaca, New York, a lovely latter-day hippie community.
Where there is no alligators at all?
No, only two-legged kinds, I guess.
So you have something in common with Marjorie Harris Carr.
Well, I must say that was perfectly the right thing to do. We need right now to be out there making a difference by including the animals that we've tried to banish, that we're driving extinct, to make it possible for us to re-experience nature. I'm very much an optimist about our future as a species and about climate. I'm a realist. Climate change is absolutely real. It's urgent. We need to take care of it right away. But we are not hopeless or helpless or powerless. We are an extraordinary species. We are very strong-willed, unbelievably inventive. To a large extent, it's our inventiveness that got us into this mess. And we can refocus it to help us have a healthier relationship with nature as we continue in this century.
I do agree. I think, the expression, the tail wags the dog, the tail that wags the dog is paid for by people who benefit from not paying attention to environmentalists. And so we are kind of manipulated into hearing phrases that make us think that somebody who is adamant about doing something that's right for the world, for the planet, is a nut. We're manipulated to think that, but at the same time, if it wasn't for those quote unquote nuts, we would not be good stewards as a human species.
And indeed would not survive. The planet itself is not at issue. The planet will survive just fine. Nature will survive just fine. The question is, will it be the kind of nature that can support life for us? And we are fully capable of doing that. The United Nations panel on climate change said the climate is real, but we have the technology and the resources to curb it, to stop it from getting worse. Whether or not it's feasible politically is a totally different issue. And that's where we come in, and we are out there demonstrating in the climate marches, and we are emailing and voting our Congress people and so on. But individuals can make a difference right around their own homes. They can have a lot of fun by volunteering to help with the kinds of wildlife corridors and rail trails and so on.
Oh, yeah,
that you're talking about. Planting trees is one of the best things that anybody can do.
We have a lot of that. There are a lot of people here that volunteer to do those things. In fact, it's usually a featured piece in the local newspaper when everybody gets up and cleans the local rivers and things like that. Or they even get divers to go down into the lakes and pull out the junk. And you know what it is? It's just careless or thoughtless people that throw trash.
Well, I think it's really important that we remember that, we've created a lot of planetary chaos that we didn't mean to, but we didn't mean to. It's not that we are inherently bad people or a bad species.
Right.
We didn't know what we were doing. We have already proven that we can change the world. We've changed the whole planet to suit us. And we haven't done such a great job, but we know we can do it, and we weren't paying attention. And now, think what we could do if we focus our efforts.
And you take it one step further by focusing on the work of Bonasar, because you talk about what happens to people after they're able to have children. Should they still be able to be on the planet? And the and his work, allowed him to help with back pain, slip discs, just keeping the human body in check, also, not just the environment.
Yes. The book is very much about our changed relationship with nature, all of nature outside of us, so that's climate change and sustainability and stuff like that, but the nature inside of us too. We are not the same animals that we used to be. We've added so many extensions to our senses, and we think it's totally natural that human beings now can fly 500 miles an hour through the sky. Totally natural that human beings can do giant calculations of speed and so on. We have changed who we are, but also medically. I visited Larry Bonasar, the person you mentioned, who is 3D printing with live cells human ears for children who are born with deformed ears.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. I've held one of them.
Wow.
It greatly alters their lives. And also he's doing cartilage for the neck. Think how many people need cartilage that is perfectly tailored to fit their body. And that's what they're working on. Plus, people are 3D printing organs. Now we're very close to the point where we are going to be able, if we need a new, lung, to go in and have one measure-made, bespoke, for us.
Isn't that amazing?
What you were saying, though, ethically, is that it will bring up a lot of ethical questions. Excuse me, we'll be living longer as a result. And if we know we are replaceable, will we become more reckless? So many of the things that are taking place now in a very exciting way, being able to genetically revive extinct species and so on, all of these things have an ethical component that we're going to have to think about. We can bring back Neanderthals. Would it be smart to do that? We can bring back a woolly mammoth. Wouldn't that just become another invasive species? We have so many interesting questions. We are now capable of nanoparticle coating everything in a hospital with an antibiotic substance. And people would not get the MRSA that they've been picking up and all these other things. That would be great. But suppose it interferes with the helpful bacteria that we need. So we are discovering that at precisely the time that we have become masters of the whole planet and of ourselves, that we need to step back and really think about it, because we may be putting ourselves in danger in some cases.
And the question I have, and we have to take a little break, but the question I have is, how do we know until we do it? It's kind of like the invention of the car. I mean, it looked like a good idea, and it is. We still love it, but at the same time, we never predicted all the pollution that this would create, because we never imagined gazillions of people would own them.
Yes.
That's true. But now our greatest invention is our self-awareness. I think this is a great turning for our species, a great moment in which we were becoming aware of ourselves, what we are capable of, what we have done, and what we need to do. We don't need to be geoengineering on a big scale. That would be very dangerous, for example, trying to change the climate of the planet on a big scale. People talk about putting mirrors up into orbit and stuff like that. But there are lots of research projects like that can be happening in small ways at universities and research centers.
Wow.
And you're right, we need to be exploring all of this. There's a lot of ingenuity we can apply.
This is fascinating. The book is outstanding. The book is called The Human Age, The World Shaped by Us, and hopefully you got a little idea of what it is about. We'll learn more when we come back. Diane Ackerman, who has had, by the way, a sex pheromone for a crocodile named after her.
That is fascinating. We have crocodiles here.
See, I don't even understand the whole pheromone thing, because I suppose I got this pheromone. I ordered it through Amazon. Supposed to make the ladies turn their head. Nobody's turning their head. I don't understand this whole thing. Diane, just hang in a second. We've got to take a little break. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be partly sunny and very warm today with a shower and thunderstorm around this afternoon, the high 86 to 90. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm around those 70 to 74. For tomorrow, variable cloudiness and not as warm with a shower or thunderstorm through the early afternoon hours, the high 81 to 85. For Sunday, mostly sunny and comfortable. Highs in the 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
This weather forecast brought to you by Tri-County Generators 1-800-622-1957. Don't get caught with your power down. Call Tri-County Generators now, 1-800-622-1957.
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming since 1952.
Hi, Danny Warfel here. Get moving with Florida Credit Union's fast and easy loan approval process.
Let Florida Credit Union start up a new car loan for you today. No more waiting, hassles, or stop signs. You can even apply online. With a strong financial team behind you, you can enjoy great rates and fast approvals.
It's all about personalized service and a streamlined process.
Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life.
All right, let's see, about 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. Wow, 9 minutes to talk about a subject that is so fascinating, and there's no way. You have to get the book. That'll be the only way you'll get everything. It's called The Human Age, The World Shaped by Us. It is written by our guest, Diane Ackerman, and Robin just told me that pheromone I was talking about was supposed to make me confident.
That's right.
I kind of was confident. I'll tell you the truth. It did work.
They find you more attractive, yeah.
It didn't happen, but the confidence was there. I was a little cockier than usual. Well, thank you for doing this. Now, the way we started out for the listeners, I bet they were thinking, okay, we're going to talk about saving the trees and cleaning the water again, but you really take it to a way different dimension.
I'm interested in how we have changed all of our ideas about nature very recently. We've been on the planet for 200,000 years, but if you think about it, all of the wonders that we associate with everyday life, almost all of them, came about in just the last 200 years. In the last 20 years, things are developing at a mind-boggling pace. In the last couple of decades, even in the last decade, we've discovered that we actually have 10 times more bacterial DNA in our bodies than human. We are more bacteria than human. We don't look that way when we look at ourselves.
I smell that way at the end of the day. I definitely smell like I'm more bacteria than you.
That could be. And there are some little freeloaders like that are known to change human behavior and personality. And so some people are thinking, well, maybe what we call the personality of a culture, of a French culture, an Italian culture, or whatever, has to do in part with these other elements that are part of us all of the time. It can sound a little scary, but it also is good because it means that you are connected to nature more than you think you are. You are constantly absorbing and trading essences, bacteria and other creatures with loved ones and with the rest of nature. So if you mess up any part of nature, ultimately you could be messing up yourself.
Isn't it interesting how we're individuals, but we kind of move as groups without even realizing it? The scary pictures from World War II where Hitler somehow convinced all these people to just march like soldiers, like robots, and just decide to take over the world and kill anybody that they didn't see fit to live. That whole thing is like, wow, how did that happen? How did he convince everybody? And now we're trying to take, I guess, that same science and use it for positive, like convincing people not to smoke, convincing people not to pollute, that kind of thing. You can take that same, whatever it is that gets groups of people to do things and do it in the positive.
Well, I think there are very complicated reasons, especially in the case of Hitler. But one thing that we are learning medically, just apropos of that, is what's called epigenetics. And that is that DNA doesn't tell the whole story, that what your grandparents experienced, maybe during World War II, can influence your health and well-being. If they experienced atrocity or famine or any kind of horrible stress, the DNA gets tagged, and the tags get passed down. And this helps to explain why not just Holocaust survivors, but the children of Holocaust survivors and their children very often also experience some trauma. It's been tagged in the DNA.
Wow. Is that true for animals across the board? Is it true for just humans or everything?
I don't know, but I assume that it is true for all animals because we are animals. We're great apes. And it is certainly true for humans where the tests have been done. But the good part is they're also finding that these little tags that tell the genes to become active or to become passive, that we can figure out how to manipulate some of them to improve the health of people also. So if a gene has been turned off, we can turn it on and so on.
Is this going to help people keep more spiritualness about them and more belief in whatever entity they believe in?
I don't know if it will do that or not. The religious factor, hard for me to know. I feel a very profound sense of spirituality. It's a kind of eco-spirituality. I believe in life and the wholeness of life, and I believe that people can improve their behavior towards one another, and that all of nature is sacred.
Do you know what's weird?
And we are a part of it.
Do you know what I've often thought? Like when you go to Universal Studios, for example, and you see like this fake New York skyline, and then you walk behind it and you see it's all fake. I mean, the Earth, compared to the other planets, is almost like that. It's like Earth, it's like if you say to a child, what is the moon made out of? What is Mars made out of, right? Oh, it's made out of dust. It's made out of whatever.
Right.
You say, what is Earth made out of? It's a gazillion different things.
We've actually, we're responsible for remaking Earth exactly the way we want it. We have changed everything. We have changed the outlines of the continents. We have wired up the whole planet. Earth is the only planet that sparkles at night everywhere. And if you were a visitor from outer space, you would see the planet and know immediately that there were intelligent life forms, because the lights at night are patterned. They're very methodical. They were done on purpose. Why do we feel the need to live not just by day, which is natural to us, but also by night? We have become unlike all the other animals. We have extended ourselves into our environment to the point where we now decide what plants and animals we want to share the planet with. This is not something any other creature has ever done. We have generally vexed and bothered every plant, every animal on every continent, and in every ocean.
That's true. That is really true. So can I ask you the new word that I learned? I don't know what it means. Anthropocene. What does that mean?
Well, this is a word that is you're going to hear a lot of by 2016, because all the textbooks are going to have to change in the schools. Because we now have so become in control of the whole planet, scientists feel that we really need to change the name of our era from this very boring geological name, Holocene, to one that better reflects the dominion that we have on the planet. And they chose Anthropocene, which translates as the human age.
Oh, wow.
So it's not, like Jurassic, that you identify with dinosaurs. This is the human age that we're just beginning.
You know what you need? You need a Steven Spielberg movie. Then everybody will know the word Anthropocene.
Anthropocene Park. That's
yeah. we only have 1 minute left. I am enjoying the conversation so greatly, so the 1 minute statement is a little disappointing. Diane Ackerman is the author of the book, The Human Age. I have a copy of this beautiful book, and I will give it away. If you call me and ask for it, 622-WOCA. The rest of us have to go buy it. Diane, can you give us a website?
Yes, I'm at www.dianeackerman.com. And on Twitter, it's at Diane S. Ackerman.
Okay, at Diane S. Ackerman. And is the book available at the other places, Amazon, etc.?
It sure is.
That's another thing changing the world. Delivering books by what do you call that thing? Drone.
That's right.
Diane, you are great. Thank you so much for being on the air with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
That was fun.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. We will take a little break, and we'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu, an NBC freelance cameraman who tested positive for Ebola heading to the U.S. for treatment. The team he was with will be isolated. Meanwhile, more details on Thomas Duncan, the Liberian man who's being treated in Texas. He was asked on a questionnaire whether he had any contact with an Ebola patient.
Authorities say that on that question, Mr. Duncan answered no. And because at the time he displayed no fever, showed no outward symptoms of Ebola, he was allowed to board the plane and consequently made it to Dallas, Texas before he became ill.
Fox's Jonathan Sari. The September jobs report out showing unemployment falling to 5.9%.
But there are some caveats to that. For example, the unemployment rate fell for a couple of reasons. Yeah, more people found work, but there's also fewer people actually in the labor market looking for a job, and that's not a good thing.
Fox Business Network's Rich Edson, Fox News. We report, you decide.
Is that an angry monkey screaming at you? Nope, it's your windshield wipers. And they're literally crying out for you to replace them.